People say that's impossible. You can't do it. Well, that's what we're here to do. That's the goal of DARPA.
DARPA, one of the Pentagon's most mysterious agencies, is usually hidden. You won't find any signs outside its headquarters in suburban Washington, D.C. But Pandemic Prevention Platform Manager Amy Jenkins told me DARPA inventions are all around us.
The internet?
The internet?
Not just that. Everything from Siri to stealth technology to self-driving cars, even your phone's GPS. Now, with hope of a coronavirus vaccine still uncertain, DARPA is zeroing in on something faster.
It's like a temporary fix for COVID-19.
A temporary fix. It's meant to put a fire break around the pandemic.
By sifting through the blood of COVID-19 survivors, DARPA hopes to identify and clone the genetic blueprint of the most powerful 1 to 3 antibodies that best fight the virus.
We got to find that needle in the haystack.
That's a game changer.
It is, and it's absolutely revolutionary.
DARPA funded 4 teams of antibody detectives.
And they push us to levels that, we maybe wouldn't even consider.
Blood from the first known COVID-19 survivor in the U.S. was flown here to Rob Carnahan's lab at Vanderbilt University, along with other samples from survivors infected at the outbreak's epicenter in Wuhan, China. After reviewing over 3,000 antibodies, they're now down to just a handful they hope will best combat the virus.
Each antibody has its own sort of personality. Yes, it's very good at inhibiting virus, but is it also good at being made?
The most potent antibodies will be grown in giant steel tanks that look like beer fermenters called bioreactors. DARPA wants to take the concept to the next level.
We have said, rather than doing this in those big bioreactors, let's turn our body into the bioreactor.
It's a sensor.
This tiny green thing in there?
That tiny green thing in there, you put it underneath your skin, and what that tells you is that there are chemical reactions going on inside the body, and that signal means you're going to have symptoms tomorrow.
Wow. There's an actual transmitter in that?
Yeah, it's like a check engine light.
Check this sailor out before he infects other people.
That's right.
Last summer, the CDC shut down the lab at Fort Detrick because of structural defects. The commander says there was never any danger to the community, but changes had to be made, and the lab was restored last month. Now they're able to work the coronavirus at all levels.
We're supporting a whole-of-government approach to detect, prevent, and treat COVID-19.
This isn't just Microchip, which senses COVID-19 in your body before symptoms and filters the virus from the blood before. It's being developed by the Pentagon. Your thoughts on this?
Yeah, so, all the conspiracy theorists out there, right, who went around saying, hey, they're creating this microchip and it's going to be inserted into your body. It's going to come with the vaccine. And all these folks in the media were like, oh, you people are crazy. There's no microchip. Then the Pentagon comes out and says, hey, actually, we have a microchip. So here's what's fascinating about this. And I actually am releasing a podcast about this today that's pretty lengthy in detail. But what's important is that the government agency, DARPA, right, that does these defense advanced research projects, is the one that actually developed this particular microchip. That they say, oh, it won't track you, and all it's going to do is tell you if you have COVID symptoms. Well, guess what? My body can also tell me if I have COVID symptoms. So why would I need a microchip inserted under my skin in order to tell me whether or not I feel the symptoms of COVID? It's bizarre in that respect. But it's also important to note that DARPA, that same organization, is the same one that was funding gain-of-function research at the Wuhan Virology Lab for the last 10 years, especially since 2014. So the fact that they now want to come out and say, we're going to create a microchip that you can put under your skin, it will tell you whether or not you have COVID. Scotty, do you really trust that that's what this is for? Then the fact that this has even been created in the first place, there doesn't seem to be a point to it to tell you that you have COVID.
I think that's what scares me the most about this. Is like you were working on a chip to go into people's skin. By the way, it's coming from the Pentagon. It's not coming from a private medical firm. And I think that's where right. My concern really is this one. So here's my question. The look into your future crystal ball, as I've so often asked you, Ben. If this shows to actually be accurate and it can predict it, do you think we could see a push that everybody, just like what we've seen with the mask, the vaccine, a push that you actually have to be microchipped with something from the Pentagon? Could that actually happen in society today?
If you had asked me that question a year ago, I'd say it's nonsense. I'd say today it's very possible. I mean, that's where we're headed with the talk of vaccine passports. And remember that with a microchip, they say, well, it only does this one limited thing right now, but it's a microchip, which means it could be used for many other things, including tracking whether or not you've had your vaccine, or whether or not you're able to travel into other countries because you have the microchip. The application for a microchip is vast once it's already been created. So the idea that it's only there for determining whether or not you have it, I think is untrue. And yes, I think it's very likely there'll be a huge pressure to say the Pentagon is going to start microchipping people. And if you want to travel and you want to be able to go in and out of the country, you have to have this. And anybody who's listening who says, oh, that sounds like a conspiracy, a year ago, you would have said it was conspiracy to say that we're going to use the blockchain to create a passport so that you can travel from country to country. And that's happening right now as we speak.